Hello there. Welcome to Just the Discs. We talk about Blu-rays here, and 4Ks, and imports, and domestic releases, and one of my favorite labels, full stop, but certainly one of my favorite labels outside the United States is Indicator. Powerhousefilms.co.uk is their website. They've been doing great work for years now. I have a big old stack of their releases to talk about here. And we're going to start with their lovely 4K release of Mike Nichols' film Carnal Knowledge from 1971. This is going to come up on a future episode of Pure Cinema, a movie that I hadn't seen for a little while, and a movie that I feel like kind of hasn't been, it's not like it hasn't been talked about, because Mike Nichols is obviously a huge director that has a ton of great stuff, you know, from Who's Afraid of Virginia Woolf to The Graduate to The Catch-22, which he did right before this. And so it's not like Mike Nichols has disappeared from the film conversation in any way, but this film has been a little tricky to see for years and has been in wanton need of a Blu-ray for a long time. And so it's lovely to get a leapfrog effect of not only a Blu-ray, but a 4K. And not only one 4K, but two 4Ks, because we also have the Criterion release, which has, you know, come out. But I'm going to talk about the differences here. This is a really powerful film about sex, about relationships, male and female, you know, friendships, betrayal, jealousy, all kinds of stuff. Jack Nicholson and Art Garfunkel star alongside Candice Bergen and Anne Margaret in Carnal Knowledge, one of American cinema's most daring and provocative films, masterfully directed by Mike Nichols. During their time in college, roommates Sandy, Art Garfunkel, and Jonathan reveal their innermost feelings about girls and sex to one another, each taking his own approach to getting what he wants. I believe the film's set in 1946 to begin with, and they go to Andover, maybe? Can't remember the name of the college, but it's a period thing. And but even in 71, I feel like it was kind of racy, just how frank they are with each other about the sex stuff. As they grow older and establish new relationships, they continue to share their fantasies and frustrations about the opposite sex, each responding differently to the mixture of desire, disdain, and disinterest they experience. Note perfect dialogue from the pen of the great Jules Feiffer, who also did Little Murders, which is a great Blu-ray from Indicator, by the way. The only one to date that I think has come out, sadly, but that's great. You should have it. An exquisite photography by legendary Italian cinematographer Giuseppe Rotunno, who shot Fellini's Satyricon, combined with universally outstanding performances, including from supporting players Rita Moreno and Carol Kane, to create an unflinching and uncompromising classic of the new Hollywood era. Yeah, it is very powerful stuff. You know, Art Garfunkel meets Candice Bergen's character, and they start going out, and he starts telling Jack Nicholson about it, and then Nicholson decides he wants to date her too, so she starts dating him behind his back. Things get very complicated. It's a dark movie, and where it goes and where it ends is pretty heavy stuff, but it is a very powerful movie, and one of the great Art Garfunkel and Anne Margaret and Candice Bergen, all great, but Nicholson, I think in particular, giving a more real performance than he sometimes did. He gets a little big in some spots, but yeah, it's a really special one, I think. And again, it's just sort of having not been easily available, having been DVD only, having been rentable only on streaming for a while. I think it deserves some more attention, and I'm glad it's getting this. So this disc, of course, is a 4K UHD presentation in Dolby Vision HDR, original mono audio commentary with writer and film scholar Justin Bozung, Mike Nichols and Jason Reitman in conversation, 2011, 36 minutes. Archival recording of the two filmmakers on stage at Walter Reed Theater in New York following a screening of Carnal Knowledge. Very cool stuff. Cruel Masters 2025, 13 minutes. Actor, comedian, and filmmaker Richard Oyedad provides an in-depth appreciation of the film and its director. I'm a big fan of him as a director, and very curious to hear his thoughts. Jules Feiffer on Midlife Crisis 1979, 52 minutes. Archival recording in which the celebrated cartoonist, screenwriter, and playwright talks with broadcaster Studs Terkel about the themes of male behavior in his work, with a focus on his 1979 cartoon novel Tantrum. Very excited to dig into that. Jules Feiffer on Relationships, 1990, 46 minutes. Archival audio recording in which Feiffer speaks with Terkel about the themes of sexual difference in his 1990 play Elliot Loves, which was directed for the stage by Mike Nichols, and about his career as a cartoonist and satirist. Also cool. Monroe, 1960, 9 minutes. A new 4K restoration of the Oscar-winning animated short film about a 4-year-old who's accidentally drafted into the U.S. Army, adapted by Feiffer from one of his short stories. I love that they pull in things that don't necessarily thematically link, but that tie to the creative folks involved with the disc. Original theatrical trailers, radio spots, new improved English subtitles, limited edition, exclusive 80-page book is included here. Very nice. I love these. These are so well put together. Nice bound books. They're not booklets, folks. Don't call them booklets. Don't call it a comeback. With new essay by Brad Stevens, an archival interview with director Mike Nichols, writer Jules Feiffer, and actor Jack Nicholson, a contemporary location report originally published in American Cinematographer, an account of controversies surrounding the film's original release, a reprint of the 1972 Sight and Sound article on the film and its place within Nichols' oeuvre, and full film credits. This is a world premiere on 4K UHD, so it was technically first. Okay, and this is just the 4K UHD that's included here, not 4K and a Blu-ray. So that's notable. I love these hardbox cases. I love Indicator. I think they're great. Okay, so here's the criterion. I haven't had a chance to dig into it, but I'm just going to give you an idea of. I'm not sure. I believe the transfer is the same, but I'm not sure. New audio commentary featuring filmmaker and playwright Neil Abute is included on this one. New program with Mike Nichols' biographer Mark Harris and film critic Dana Stevens. That's also different. New interview with film editing historian Bobby Osteen, son of Sam Osteen, the editor, I think. I don't know. New interview with new conversation from 2011 between Nichols and Reitman. That's also on both. Q&A with screenwriter Jules Feiffer. I'm not sure which one that is, if it's one of the ones that ties in there. Plus an essay by scholar Moira Weigel and a 1971 piece for American Cinematographer. So you have some crossover, but not all the same features. Definitely more of an emphasis on Jules Feiffer in that case, on the Indicator disc. That's good to know. Okay, so that's really, really exciting. Definitely worth getting. We have a lot more stuff to talk about. Let's go here. Okay, so in my last video, I talked about Seven Women, a Warner Archive Blu-ray that came out recently. That's John Ford's final film. And that, I should have mentioned, comes up in Karina Longworth's You Must Remember This, The Old Man is Still Alive series that she did this year. That was a really great series about a lot of Hollywood filmmakers from the classic era and how they, I don't know about faltered, but how they adjusted to and how they progressed their filmmaking as they got older, and what kind of interesting things they did later on. So this one, I believe, comes up too. This is William Wyler's last film from 1970, and it's called The Liberation of L.B. Jones. Now this, I mentioned an episode of Pure Cinema we did with Quentin Tarantino about final films from directors, and I'm pretty sure this one did come up on that episode. Legendary director William Wyler, The Collector, Ben-Hur, concluded his filmmaking career with The Liberation of L.B. Jones, a searing indictment of institutional racism starring Lee J. Cobb, Anthony Zerbe, and Roscoe Lee Brown. When black funeral director L.B. Jones, that's Roscoe Lee Brown, finds that his pregnant wife Emma is having an affair with white policeman Worth, that's Anthony Zerbe, he demands a divorce. Worth and his racist colleagues exact brutal revenge upon Jones and conspire to cover up their actions with the assistance of local district attorney, played by Lee J. Cobb. With supporting performances from Barbara Hershey and Yaphet Kotto, and with a screenplay by Jesse Hill Ford, adapting his own novel, and Sterling Silliphant, The Liberation of L.B. Jones is a shocking tale of intolerance and injustice. It is a heavy-duty movie in terms of the themes, in terms of the, what it's addressing. And I do recommend checking out Karina's episode on it as well. But this is exciting because this movie, I think it had a DVD release maybe, but maybe not. And it's the UK premiere on Blu-ray, so now I'm thinking I'm crazy and that maybe it already came out on Blu-ray and I totally forgot about it. I was thinking this was the Blu-ray debut of it, but maybe I'm crazy. I'm curious who... Liberation of L.B. Anyway, I don't remember it. I'm sure it's out there. You guys can correct me in the comments as to who put out the stateside disc. Obviously, it must be out there, or they would call it a worldwide debut. But I always do love to have the indicator version of a movie. High definition remaster, audio commentary with journalist and author Brian Reisman and film critic Mike Sargent. Dignified Rage, 2025, 24 minutes. Neil Sinyard, author of A Wonderful Heart. The films of William Wyler, delves into the film's production and reception. Southern Injustice, 2025, 26 minutes. Josiah Howard, author of Blaxploitation Cinema, The Essential Reference Guide, discusses the cast, themes, reception, and position of the film as a precursor to the Blaxploitation movement. Isolated music effects track. Limited 40-page booklet with new essay by Fintan McDonough, archival interviews of actor Roscoe Lee Brown and screenwriter Jesse Hill Ford, and an archival production report from Edwin Howard, and film credits. I am just really curious who put out that other Blu-ray. Oh, there's the Indicator the imprint Blu-ray. So that, I guess, is technically considered the debut, I guess, worldwide debut before. But no features at all on that disc. Definitely not worth getting at all. So just ignore it. Get this one instead. It is Region B locked. I will warn you that everything we're talking about from here forward, I believe, is Region B locked. So you're going to want to have a multi-region player, but Indicator is one of the reasons we have multi-region players. In my mind, they're one of the reason multi-region players were invented if you live in the States. So anyway, very interesting and memorable and powerful film. Actually kind of interesting to have it, although the themes are completely different from Carnal Knowledge. I think they're heavy-hitting in similar ways. Next up, we have And Justice for All. This is a Norman Jewison film from 1979. I think I've seen it, but it's been a minute. Al Pacino, Jack Warden, and John Forsythe lead the ensemble cast of And Justice for All, brutal indictment of the American legal system from director Norman Jewison. Firebrand defense attorney Arthur Kirkland. Pacino finds that the demands of his job are at odds with his conscience. He is forced to defend a judge, John Forsythe, who is accused of a terrible crime. He plunges into a moral crisis when he's forced to do that. Written by Barry Levinson and Valerie Curtin, with acting support from Lee Strasberg and Jeffrey Tambor. And Justice for All is a riveting and powerful exploration of hypocrisy and injustice. I feel like there's a big speech that he gives in this one that I've heard about or something, and it's been too long. If I've seen it, it's basically gone. So a high definition remaster, audio commentary with director Norman Jewison from 2001, audio commentary of film historians Alexandra Heller Nicholas and Josh Nelson. A great duo, to be sure. This is the UK Blu-ray premiere, by the way. Norman Jewison, the testimony of the director, 2008, 12-minute archival interview. Barry Levinson cross-examining the screenwriter, 2008, 7-minute archival interview. The Guardian interview with Barry Levinson, 2000, 66 minutes. Archival audio recording of the writer turned director in conversation with Adrian Wooten at the National Film Theatre, London. 4 deleted scenes running 11 minutes total. David Ziegler, trailer commentary, short critical appreciation. Limited edition 36-page booklet with a new essay by Sergio Angelini, archival interviews with actor Al Pacino, co-writer Barry Levinson, and director Norman Jewison. Again, Region B locked. Curious to watch that one, or maybe for the first time. Another one that I am excited about is Storm Warning from 1956. A good cast and a movie that I don't think I've seen. Betty Davis, Brian Keith, Kim Hunter, and Paul Kelly star in Storm Center, a shocking tale of censorship and its consequences. Idealistic librarian Alicia, that's Betty Davis, is fired after refusing to remove a book from her small town library, despite the attempts of a local judge, Kelly, to defend her. Attorney Paul, that's Brian Keith, leads a campaign to vilify Alicia with unexpected consequences for the community. Directed and co-written by Daniel Taradash, Storm Center is a powerful rallying cry for tolerance and freedom of speech. Incredibly timely. Definitely a movie to watch right now and to be thinking about right now, as a lot of books are being, and have been for years, banned, etc. Censorship's still a very big deal. And even a movie from 1956 resonates today. I love that Indicator is definitely not afraid to shy away from issue movies that have deeper themes and that address, heavier issues in the world. And this one I don't think I've seen, and I love that cast, and the idea sounds great. Also, Region B locked, by the way. Excited to check that one out. Bonjour Tristesse. This one has been available on Blu-ray before. I know, did Criterion? No, did Twilight Time? I can't remember who put this out. But this is a 4K restoration, just so you know, and the UK premiere on Blu-ray. This is an Otto Preminger film from 1958. Otto Preminger directs Bonjour Tristesse, a stylish adaptation of Françoise Sagan's novel, starring Deborah Kerr, David Niven, and Jean Seberg. Holidaying on the French Riviera, a widower and playboy Raymond, that's David Niven, begins to develop a relationship with staid Anne, that's Deborah Kerr. His manipulative daughter, Cecile, Jean Seberg, fearing her behavior will be curtailed, conspires to come between them with tragic results. Shot on location by George Perrinal, The Life and Death of Colonel Blimp, in an innovative mixture of color and black and white photography. Bonjour Tristesse was a favorite from film of Nouvelle Vague filmmakers Francois Truffaut and Jean-Luc Godard, with the latter casting Seberg in his debut feature Breathless. So maybe this was an influence on that, is what they're saying. Very possibly. 4K restoration, original mono audio commentary with critics and writers Glenn Kenny and Farron Smith-Neme, another great duo that I like very much in their commentaries. A Good Bet, 2017, 5 minutes. British actor Jeremy Burnham recalls his experiences on the set of Bonjour Tristesse in his working relationship with Jean Seberg, David Niven, and Otto Preminger. Tristesse de Vivre. Writer and critic Jeff Andrew delves into the making of the film and discusses its cast and crew. A Charming Little Monster, 2016, 14 minutes. Dennis Westhoff, son of Françoise Sagan, discusses his mother's best-selling novel and its adaptation for the screen. Isolated music and effects track. Original trailer, 5 minutes. Promotional item containing an interview with novelist Françoise Sagan. Limited edition 40-page booklet with a new essay by Peter Cowie, a piece on Françoise Sagan's source novel and its transition to the big screen, a selection of archival material on the film's production, overview of contemporary critical film critics. Region B locked, folks. Okay, moving on, we have The Dresser. This is a Peter Yates film from 1983, excuse me. Peter Yates directs Albert Finney, Tom Courtenay, and Edward Fox in The Dresser, a heartrending yet darkly humorous tale of life in the theater. During the Second World War, a group of actors take Shakespeare across the industrial North, led by an aging, imperious actor known only as Sir, that's Albert Finney, against a background of air raid sirens and exploding bombs. With his mental and physical condition deteriorating, selfless Dresser Norman Courtney struggles to ensure that the show's Sir's 227th performance as King Lear goes on. Based on the experiences of screenwriter Ronald Harwood, the pianist assistant to legendary Shakespearean actor Sir Donald Wolfett, 90 Degrees in the Shade, The Dresser is a moving exploration of loyalty and unrequited love. I remember this is another one that I came across in Danny Perry's Guide for the Film Fanatic, I think. I may have gotten a write-up or it's in the back, but I love Peter Yates. I'm a huge fan of Bullet, but I also love Breaking Away. I think he, and Robbery. I think he did some really great stuff and a variety of stuff, really. So this is more of a drama for him and definitely a unique entry. Hitting It Off, 2025, 8 minutes. Actor Tom Courtney recalls playing the film's title role on the stage and for the big screen. A Good Adventure, 2017, 4 minutes. Archival interview with actor Katherine Harrison. Behind the Curtain, 2022, 14 minutes. Collected archival interviews with a selection of the Dresser's crew members, including director of photography Kelvin Pike, camera operator Dewey Humphreys, sound mixer John Hayward, property master John Chisholm, and property buyer Joe Quartier. Limited edition 32-page booklet with a new essay by Thurza Wakefield, a selection of interviews with director Peter Yates and actors Albert Finney and Tom Courtney, charting the film's production, an overview of critical responses and film credits. UK Blu-ray premiere, Region B locked. Very cool to have. A nice one to have in the summer of Jaws. We have The Hireling from 1973. So a few years before Jaws, Robert Shaw stars in this film with Sarah Miles. The Hireling, a devastating exploration of emotional repression, trauma, and class relations from director Alan Bridges. In the years following the First World War, the widowed Lady Franklin, Miles establishes an unlikely friendship with her working-class driver, Ledbetter, that's Shaw, a traumatized former sergeant major. But as Lady Franklin develops a relationship with a scheming former officer, Peter Egan, Ledbetter's precarious mental state rapidly deteriorates. Adapted from the novel by L.P. Hartley, The Go-Between, and acclaimed playwright and screenwriter Wolf Mankiewicz, The Hireling was awarded the Palme d'Or at the 1973 Cannes Film Festival. High-definition remaster included here are also The Driving Force, 2020, 12 minutes. Actor Sarah Miles and Ian Hogg, composer Mark Wilkinson, production manager Hugh Harlow, wardrobe mistress Brenda Dabbs, and production accountant Maureen Newman recall the making of the film. The Lady and the Chauffeur, 2020, 12 minutes. Miles, Hogg, Harlow, Dabbs, and Newman discuss the lead actors of The Hireling. The BHEHP interview with Phyllis Dalton, 2,105 minutes. Archival audio recording made as part of the British Entertainment History Project featuring the costume designer in conversation with Rodney Geisler. Larry Karaszewski trailer from Hell commentary, 4 minutes. Short critical appreciation. I got to check that out. I didn't know Larry was a fan of it, and I do like Larry's taste. Limited edition exclusive 32-page booklet with new essay by Peter Cowie, selected archival interviews with screenwriter Wolf Mankiewicz, and overview of critical responses and film credits. UK Blu-ray premiere. So that is The Hireling with Robert Shaw. A few more here. We have The Taming of the Shrew. This is from 1967. Franco Zeffirelli directed. Richard Burton and Elizabeth Taylor star in Taming of the Shrew, a vibrant body adaptation of Shakespeare's immortal romantic comedy from director Franco Zeffirelli, who of course did the Romeo and Juliet adaptation that I think a lot of people saw in high school in the 80s. Nobleman Baptista, Michael Hordern, seeks husbands for his two daughters. Bianca, Natasha Pine, has no trouble attracting suitors, but the headstrong and acerbic Kate, that's Taylor, drives men away until the nobleman Petruchio Burton is inspired by a sizable dowry to take on the challenge. The lavish production's all-star cast is rounded out by Cyril Cusack, Michael York, Alan Webb, and Victor Spinetti, and features a lush soundtrack by the great Nino Rota, who of course did The Godfather and 8.5. High-definition remaster, audio commentary with film historians Alexandra Heller-Nicholas and Josh Nelson, excellent. A Breathless Tussle, 2025, 22 minutes. Writer and broadcaster Matthew Sweet examines the background behind the film's production. His Name is Biandello, 2018, 6 minutes. Archival interview with actor Roy Holder. Royal Film Performance screening, 1967, 2 minutes. Newsreel footage capturing an audience of special guests, including Princess Margaret and a who's who of British cinema greats. French premiere, 1967, 1 minute. Newsreel footage of Elizabeth Taylor and Richard Burton attending the film's Paris premiere. Limited edition 32-page booklet with new essay by Bethan Roberts, a contemporary on-set report by John Francis Lane, an overview of critical responses and film credits. UK Blu-ray premiere, Region B locked. Next up we have HMS Defiant from 1962, directed by Lewis Gilbert. Alec Guinness and Dirk Bogarde lead the all-star cast of HMS Defiant, a rip-roaring tale of mutiny on the high seas from the great British action director Lewis Gilbert, who did Sink the Bismarck and The Spy Who Loved Me. During the French Revolutionary Wars, Crawford, Alec Guinness, captain of the Defiant, enters into a battle of wills with his sadistic first officer, Scott Paget Bogarde. When Crawford is injured during a skirmish with French forces, Scott Paget takes control, but the crew begin to rebel against his brutal command whilst remaining loyal to Crawford and to their country. Adapted by Edmund H. North and Nigel Neal, The Quatermass Experiment, from Frank Tilsley's best-selling novel Mutiny, HMS Defiant, originally released in the U.S. as Damn the Defiant, does not water down the depiction of the harsh realities of naval life. High definition remaster, 2 presentations of the film, HMS Defiant, the original UK title sequence, and Damn Defiant, the US alternative title sequence. Guardian interview with Lewis Gilbert, 1995, 83 minutes. Archival audio recording of the prolific director in conversation with Tony Sloman at the National Film Theatre, London. The BEHP interview with Lewis Gilbert, 1996, 101 minutes. Archival audio recording made as part of the British Entertainment History Project, featuring the director in conversation with Roy Fowler. Cast Adrift, 2022, 29 minutes. Actors Peter Gill, Roger Mutton, and Brian Phelan recall their work on the film. Defiant Crew, 2022, 48 minutes. The making of HMS Defiant as recounted by members of the production team, including special effects artist Martin Gutteridge, production manager Richard Goodwin, assistant editors John Crome and Norman Wanstall, and standby prop man John Chisholm. Limited edition 36-page booklet with new essay by Sheldon Hall, archival interviews with Dirk Bogarde and Murray Melvin, extracts from the film's press book and film credits. UK Blu-ray premiere, Region B locked. And lastly, we have a movie I had never heard of called A Day at the Beach from 1970, notably written by Roman Polanski. Mark Burns, Death in Venice, and Beatrice Edney star in A Day at the Beach, a downbeat tale of alcoholism, written by Roman Polanski, produced by a regular Polanski collaborator Gene Gutowski, who produced Cul-de-sac and The Pianist, I guess, and shot by celebrated cinematographer Gilbert Taylor, who shot Repulsion and Star Wars. When Bernie Burns takes a little girl, Winnie Edney, who may or not be his niece or perhaps daughter, for a trip to a decrepit Danish seaside town on a day of heavy rain, he sets about cajoling the locals in a desperate quest for alcohol, leaving his young charge to fend for herself. The sole feature film credit for director Simon Hesera, A Day at the Beach received scant distribution at the time of its production, but after having been lost for decades, it was eventually revived and re-released to critical acclaim, with audiences particularly interested to discover the charismatic cameo appearances by British comedy legends Peter Sellers and Graham Stark. New restoration from a 4K scan of the original negative by Powerhouse Films, original mono audio, 2 presentations of the film, 82-minute version newly restored in 1:75:1 from the original negative, the alternative 84-minute version, which includes unique footage sourced from the 133 standard definition master. Country Girl, 2025, 6 minutes. Actor Fiona Lewis recalls her entry into the film industry and her work with Roman Polanski. Dancing Before the Enemy, How a Teenage Boy Fooled the Nazis and Lived, 2015, 64 minutes. Documentary portrait of producer Gene Gutowski, directed by his son Adam Bardak, in which he vividly recalls his experience as a Jewish teenager in Poland during World War II. The World of an Alcoholic, 2025, 15 minutes. Video essay by Polish film expert Michael Brook on the 14-year friendship between Polanski and Marek Hasko. Author of one of the great Polish studies of alcoholism. Behind the Camera, Gil Taylor, 1999, 13 minutes, archival documentary by Richard Blanchard on the great cinematographer, featuring interviews with Taylor, Polanski, and filmmaker Anthony Minghella. Limited edition 36-page booklet with new essay by Michael Olzazek, a compilation of trade journal reports on the film's production, extracts from the interviews with the director Simon Hesera at the time of the film's 1993 re-release, and an overview of critical responses from film credits. World premiere on Blu-ray. This is the first time this has been on Blu-ray in the world, and this is a region-free disc. This is all region. So, A Day at the Beach. Interesting closer. Last thing I'll say is there's some exciting stuff coming from Indicator that I am very much looking forward to. First and foremost being their Columbia Noir number 7, Made in Britain, which includes the films A Prize of Gold, The Last Man to Hang, Wicked as They Come, Spin a Dark Web, The Long Haul, Fortune as a Woman. I know basically none of these movies. And I do love this series. This is one of the ways we were introduced to Indicator, was through their wonderful Columbia Noir series. I love that they're on Volume 7, and they're still going, hopefully. So that's coming. And on top of that, we have the movie Hitchhike, with Franco Nero and David Hess. Very dark, very dark story of a hitchhiker. In 4K, coming. A very interesting movie, and one that I think is a tough watch, but definitely very interesting. Also coming, we have on 4K, The Plot of Fear, and then we have Death Carries a Cane in 4K, so some giallo stuff, and The Perfume of the Lady in Black, also coming in 4K. Very excited for all these releases and more from Indicator. So check them out at powerhousefilms.co.uk. Check out their socials, keep track of their release slate, order from them direct, order from them through Diabolic or Orbit DVD. But definitely check their stuff out, as they do great work. Get yourself a multi-region Blu-ray player if you want to have more access to great stuff. It is highly recommended. Anyway, thank you so much for listening, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye-bye.